Hey guys, I've got some really cool guitar tones I'd like you to hear today, and they're all going to be using this little pedal right here, the MXR Classic Distortion. Now, I'm going to share 5 different sounds, or tones rather, that you can get from this pedal. Of course, you can get a lot more, but I just want to show you like the diversity, and you'll see, or you'll hear rather, that this little pedal can give you those bluesy and country tones all the way into southern rock, all the way into hard rock and heavy metal. So we've got a wide array of tones that we're about to cover here. Now hang around till the end of the video because I will explain the recording process. I'll go through that real quick. And there's also an interesting little story behind the MXR Classic Distortion pedal and why I bought this specific pedal. So I'll share that at the end of the video as well. So hang around for that. All right, so these first 3 tones you're about to hear are going to be going through the clean channel of my EVH 5150 350 watt head. And this is the EL34 tube version. I've got the 212 cab and we're miking it up with a good old Shure SM57 mic. So before we get into the tones with the MXR pedal, the Classic Distortion pedal, let's just hear real quick what the amp sounds like by itself. Now let's turn on the MXR Classic Distortion pedal, but the caveat here is I'm going to turn the distortion all the way down to 0. So I just want to hear what this does to this clean channel. So that gave it a little bit of grit, which I do like grits in the morning. All right, so now let's turn this distortion up just a little bit. I'm not gonna do anything crazy here. I'm just gonna turn the distortion from 0 to halfway up, number 5 or whatever you wanna call that. So let's just turn it up halfway. Let's hear what this sounds like for both our rhythms and our leads. Now for rhythms, that would be real cool. Like if you had a verse that was clean, you're just playing a clean channel, and then you're going into the pre-chorus or the chorus and you want to change that tone a little bit and just give it a little bit more edge to it, turn that distortion up on the MXR pedal there to about 50%, and you've got a really nice transition tone there. For leads, you've got a really nice creamy sound, so it's not like oversaturated because we're not really going for that here, but then you've got just enough edge so those notes can ring out a little bit more. Now I've got one more tone on the clean channel I want you to hear, and as you may have guessed, we're just going to crank the distortion on the MXR Classic Distortion pedal. We're going to crank it all the way up. Let's hear what this sounds like with the clean channel. Now for rhythms, that gives you a really nice, just classic rock and roll sound, or if you're going for like a southern rock sound, and even if you're going for more of a classic hard rock sound, with that distortion all the way up on the pedal and on the clean channel, you're getting enough edge there to do that. And I know that's not ideal for hard rock. You'd rather have the amps gain, and don't worry, we're getting to that next. But if all you had were a clean channel with this pedal here, if you've got a tube amp with a clean channel with this pedal, I think you can get enough grit out of it to get some really cool rock and roll sounds. Now for the leads, it gave it just more of that boost that you heard when the distortion was up 50%. Now you've got more sustain and you can hold those notes out a little bit longer, and it's still got that real smooth and creamy sound to it when you're playing guitar solos. Now we're gonna switch channels, and I'm gonna switch guitars as well this time. And real quick, I should have mentioned this earlier, but what you just heard was with my Ibanez Prestige RG 1570. Now this thing still has the stock passive pickups, the V7, S1, and V8 pickups in it. So I just wanted to use this guitar because I like how it sounds for clean tones, and of course I wanted to hear that with the MXR Classic Distortion. But now we're going to switch guitars, and you'll see it in the video coming up here, and we're going to switch channels here from the green to the blue channel. Now this isn't the super high gain channel on this amp. This is actually kind of that middle of the road, and to me it's more of like a classic hard rock and classic heavy metal style channel. I'm going to crank the amp channel gain up to about 7 or 8 here. So before I turn this pedal on, let's just hear what the amp sounds like, because I want you to hear the difference, and you'll see the reason, or you'll hear the reason why I'm using this pedal with this channel. So here's what the raw tone sounds like just with the amp. Let's turn on the MXR Classic Distortion pedal, and we're going to go back to the setting that we started with the first tone you heard. We're going to turn that distortion on the pedal all the way down. Now, as you just heard, what that did, and I could really hear it out here and in the studio, that pedal just really cleaned up and tightened up that tone, which is kind of what it's supposed to do. I'm kind of using it as most people would use an overdrive. Most people don't use a distortion pedal in front of the amp for this purpose. They use an overdrive pedal, but to me, this actually works just as well, if not better, than some of the other overdrives I've had. Again, using it for this specific purpose of tightening up those higher gain channels. Now, I want to try one more thing. I'm gonna turn this distortion up not quite halfway, and let's see what this does for our guitar solos. So again, I'm using the EVH 5153 amp. I thought this was the perfect amp for this demonstration, and it's the only one I have in my studio right now, so we're kind of stuck with it. But I love this amp, and you guys know that. You've seen my past videos. I've been playing through this amp like crazy lately. Actually, I think the past probably like 10 or 15 YouTube videos have been recorded with this amp as opposed to plugins. So anyway, that's just a side note. So yeah, that's the EL34 tube version, the matching 212 cab, Shure SM57 mic. I've got the mic running directly through my PreSonus Quantum 2 interface, and I'm using PreSonus Studio One Pro to record my tracks with. Now, the only thing I added in the studio was just a compressor plug-in, that's it. I didn't do any other post-production, post-processing. I always add that compressor in because it just evens out the tones. And as you may have guessed, I had the MXR Classic Distortion pedal in front of the amp. Now before that, I also have a noise gate, which I've actually got the MXR Smart Gate. I'm using that. The only time I used the noise gate though was when we turned on the blue channel. I was getting some noise and I clicked the noise gate on just for those tracks that you heard with the blue channel. You also heard a little bit of delay that I put on for the leads, and that's just the Boss Digital Delay DD7 pedal. So you may be wondering, Jason dude, why did you get this pedal? Why didn't you just get an overdrive pedal? Well, here's the interesting story. I actually found this MXR Classic Distortion pedal used, and I'm trying to remember which guitar store I bought this at. It was one of two, and I think it was about a year ago. My wife and I were visiting my hometown, which is Pensacola, Florida. There's a local guitar store called Blues Angel there. I think I picked it up there for a really good price. If that wasn't it, then it's gonna for sure be my local store here in Tampa. Well, it's not my store, but it's Replay Guitar Exchange. You guys have seen me do a lot of videos over there, which I'm due to go back over there soon. So if you have any video ideas, let me know, and I'll shoot that video at Replay. But yeah, it was one of those two stores, and the reason I point that out, I do my best to shop mom and pop as much as possible. My wife and I both do that. So nothing against the big box stores. I mean, I do order stuff from Sweetwater sometimes as well. You know, just depends on what I'm looking for. But just a quick side note, I really try to shop at mom and pops just everywhere as much as we possibly can. So again, that's just a side note. But I basically picked it up just, I've always heard that MXR, they make good pedals, you know, so I'm like, okay. And it was like super cheap, so I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. Let me just buy this. Interesting, but maybe not so interesting story of why I bought this pedal. But I'm glad I got this pedal though, because it's given me like just a very wide range of different tones. And come to find, I didn't even need it for what I thought I needed it for. Again, I'm playing through my EVH 5153, and the red channel, that high gain channel on this amp, does not need any kind of overdrive or anything in front of it. However, for the blue channel, and I like to play through that blue channel quite a bit, the MXR Classic Distortion sounds great for that channel. It really tightens up the tone and just gives it that extra edge. And then you heard it with the clean channel, which I really haven't messed around using this pedal with a clean channel on this amp, or any amp for that matter. And I've only been doing that for the past couple of days, and I'm like, man, this thing is giving me some pretty cool tones. I think I like this. So I just wanted you guys to hear what that sounded like as well. So guys, let me know if you happen to have the MXR Classic Distortion pedal. I'd like to know your thoughts on it and how you use it as well. Or just leave a comment and tell me what pedal you're using, what overdrive or distortion pedal you're using. Just put that in the comments. I'd love to know that. And let me know what you think about the tones that you heard today. Before you go, make sure you check the description of this YouTube channel. I've got a lot of links and a lot of cool stuff for you in there. And also, please give this video a thumbs up. That really helps my videos, and I appreciate that. And make sure you're subscribed. So guys, until the next video, as always, keep it metal, or keep it hard rock, or southern rock, or clean. We played a lot of tones today, so just keep it music. How about that?